We've done some work before on completing the square, and essentially what we're doing when completing the square is writing our function in what we call vertex form. Now in this example, we'll be using some formulas. It's not very complicated, but we will be trying to match our answer with method 1, not so much method 2. Keep in mind though that if you are more comfortable with method 2, that you could just simply need to bring your constant term to the other side so that it looks like the answer we have here. So I'll make some space and show you how we can complete the square using formulas. Now, firstly, we want to establish what the vertex form is. It is in the form y equal a times x minus h all squared plus k. Now, when we rewrite this, we want to fill in a, h, and k. Because if you're going to represent a function, x and y are the only unknowns that you're allowed to have. So we need to figure out what a is, what h is, and what k is. Now for quadratic functions, your hk is really the vertex. So your vertex is h, k. It is really either the highest or the lowest point on your curve, depending on whether you have a maximum or a minimum. But either way, it is a special x and y coordinate that represents either the highest or the lowest point on your curve. Your a will come from your function itself. A is just the coefficient of the square term. So if I'm going to use the example n squared equal 18n plus 40, I do want to rewrite it as n squared minus 18n minus 40 equals 0. This way I can establish that a is 1. And I'll do that in a different color. So a is 1, b is negative 18, and c is negative 40. The reason we need to know what a, b, and c is because there is an actual formula for finding h. We can find h by using the formula negative b over 2a. So we've established a that we'll fill in here. It's just 1. And now let's find h. So b is negative 18. So negative b would be negative 18, which is just positive 18, divided by 2 times a, which is 1. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. And so already we know a and we know h, which is 9. The last thing we're looking for is k. The way we find k is by plugging in the value for h that we found into our function. So the expression here, n squared minus 18n minus 40, that's what we'll be plugging in 9 into in place of n. So 9 squared minus 18 times 9 minus 40. 9 squared is 81 minus 18 times 9, which is 162 minus 40. And to simplify, this would be negative 81 minus 40. And if this looks familiar, that's great. This is equal to negative 121. So k is negative 121. So now that I've found this, I'm going to rewrite this with A, H, and A filled in, and K, filled in. So the final answer would be A, which is 1, times X minus H, which is 9, squared, plus K, which is negative 121. Now 1 times X minus 9 all squared is just X minus 9 all squared, so we don't necessarily need to write that. And so this is our vertex form. And notice it looks just about the same. Now you may need to make minor adjustments so that it looks exactly like what you're working with. For example, if it's an equation, so it's equal to 0, then it would be a good idea to add equals 0 here, even if you chose to use a formula, just so that you can maintain the similar outcome. Hey, if you haven't liked, shared, or subscribed yet, go do that now. Okay, bye. Now let's do one example when A is not 1 and basically works just the same. To write this to look like vertex form, I will write it as 8 times x plus 1 all squared minus 50 equals 0. Because again, if it is positive on the right, it will be negative when you move it to the left of the equal sign. So this is what we are working toward. So let's take our equation, 8x squared plus 16x equal to 42. And in this case, just so that we can get the correct sign of our constant term, I'm going to bring it over. So on the right side, it's positive. So on the left side, it would be negative. So this would be 8x squared plus 16x minus 42 equals 0. So A is 8, B is 16, and C is negative 42. So we already established in our vertex form, which is A times x minus h all squared plus k. We've already found A. A is 8. And now let's find h. The formula for h is negative b over 2a, which is negative b, which is 16, over 2 times a. A is 8. This is negative 16 over 2 times 8, which is 16, which simplifies to negative 1. So h is negative 1. Finally, k is what we get when we plug in h into the function. So we're going to plug in 1 into the function, 8x squared plus 16x minus 42. So we're going to keep in mind that x is negative 1. So 8 times negative 1 squared plus 16 times negative 1 minus 42. And now simplify. So 8 times negative 1 squared. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Plus 16 times negative 1 minus 42. 8 times 1 is 8. 16 times negative 1 is negative 16 minus 42. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. Minus 42 is negative 50. So k is negative 50. So to rewrite this, I will take my vertex form A times x minus h all squared plus k, and I will replace everything. A is 8. So this will be 8 times x minus h, but h is negative 1. So I need to plug in -1 squared plus k, but k is -50, so I'll put in -50. And then we just have to clean up our signs. So this is just 8 times x plus 1 all squared minus 50. So whichever method you choose, whether the method 1 we showed to work primarily on one side, or to work on both sides, or to use the vertex form, your answer will be the same. So just choose the one that is easiest for you, and remember to adjust, in this case adding equals 0 if you're given an equation, so that even if you're using the formula, you can come to the same answer. So I hope this helps.